Welcome everyone. So this is the next lecture in the GS Economy series for CSC 2024. And today we are going to discuss topic inequality and growth. There is conflict or convergence. I went through last 5-6 years question paper in GS3 mains. GS3 mains, and I saw what is the probability of getting a questions, let's say civil service mains in 2023 or 24. So I was trying to predict, what kind of questions so it's very difficult to say, okay, verbatim this question, but yes, idea you can predict. That's not a problem. So it is my view. Somewhere, maybe in 2023 or 24, the question, there is a conflict between, if you have been following the economic surveys very well, so inequality and growth, whether there is conflict or convergence. That was an important topic, I think, two years back in the economic surveys. So this is my view. So let me share what we can do today. For this, you must have been following, I think, this 2018 or 19 economic survey chapter. Please, I would suggest you to read this once again. And what is the idea of this chapter? See, the story goes like this. Poverty is there, right? Poverty is a big problem. Even today, if you take, I think around 750 million people still live less than $1.9 per day income. And to achieve SDG 1, you cannot, world cannot achieve SDG 1 till, poverty in India, absolute poverty in India and other South Asian and African countries, it is not eliminated. Okay. Now the question comes. Also, there is absolute poverty in some countries, developing countries, but there is a concept of relative poverty. And relative poverty exists everywhere. So now the question is, let's say in some country, the question is like this. Let's say there is a country where inequality is rising. Okay, inequality is rising. Would it lead to reduction in poverty, poverty ratio? To so it very, officially it is called head count ratio. Head count ratio is generally, if you have been following reports like Tendulkar committee reports and all, they use this head count ratio. That means the number of people living in poverty. Okay. So if the inequality is rising, even then the poverty can reduce. Or let's say the growth is rising. Okay. So then also it might happen the poverty can reduce. So what is happening generally, the essence of this chapter is that in India is at that stage of development where if the growth is rising, the growth is more important. Growth is a more important determinant of poverty reduction. That is the essence of this chapter. And when the growth is rising, there is also, some inequality involved. Let's say, what I mean to say, let's say there are three people. Everyone has 2 rupees, 5 rupees, and 4 rupees, and 6 rupees. Now growth happened. So let's say growth happened. This guy got, first one got 5 rupees. This one got 14. This one got 16. Now can you see? 3 of them are rich, but now the inequality is high. So what is the scenario? This chapter is trying to say? Here, growth is a more important factor. India should worry about increasing the size of the pie, right? So if you increase the size of the pie, now you reduce poverty with 2 things, as we mentioned, either by growth or by redistribution. Let's say, for example, land reforms was one of the form of, that in India, land reforms are more or less fiasco. But yes, through redistribution also, you can reduce poverty. And growth is always there. So the essence of this chapter is that in India is at that development stage where growth matters more, redistribution will not matter, at least for the foreseeable future, let's say maybe 10-15 years. That is the essence of this chapter. But in the developed countries, let's say, their inequality matters more because very few people are living in relative poverty there. Sorry, absolute poverty. So their inequality matters more. So what this chapter, this is what, wonderfully written chapters, and the references they have taken a reference of Professor Pradeep Agrawal. He has done a wonderful work on, he's a professor at Institute of IEG. IEG is a Institute of Economic Growth, and he worked on this idea, and this paper is derived, if I'm not mistaken, mainly from his works, from his research paper. And if you want to see how that research paper look like, maybe you can see it here. Although not much very important, but let me see if you can get that paper. Okay. This is the working paper. Okay. Reducing poverty in India, role of economic growth. Okay. In the paper itself is emphasizing the role of Professor Pradeep Agrawal. And he talks about, let's say, what he talks about. Let me show you. So, see, just reading something superficially will not help. At least once you have opened a paper, you must devote 1 or 2 minutes in here. So, what he says, yeah, the relation between poverty, growth, and inequality. So, here, see, now do not worry about all these terms, all these equations. Suppose you joined services, some other day you're involved in policy making. So, you will have no other choice but to understand this kind of paper. I understand during UPSC preparation you do not have time and liberty to go into that, but yes, you cannot escape from these ideas, these rigorous ideas. One day you have to face them upfront. So what it is, head count ratio. It is based on 3 parameters, right? First, why not indicate income per capita, and this what indicate poverty line. Let's say Tendulkar committee established poverty line at some. So that is constant, the bar indicate. And D is the effect of distribution. So can you see the poverty, the poverty reduction factor itself is a function of per capita income, the growth, and this is redistribution, right? Okay. So what he's saying, important 2 observations. I think you must somewhere note these things in your notes. If income growth is distribution neutral means, let's say, there is some growth, so every person in economy is getting a proportionate increase their income. So let's say 10 people are there in this economy, everyone got their 10% increase their income. So, but that does not mean the absolute change is equal. Let's say people have 2, 5, 6. This is the income of 3 people. 10% is increase. So this will become 2.2. This will become 2.5. This will become 6.6. That is the idea. So what this is, if income growth is distribution neutral, or the income of every individual grow by the same proportion, then the Lorentz curve will stay unchanged in head count ratio due to entirely change in the mean income. Okay. Now see, this is my understanding that at least, let's say you're a student, you're not a student of economics, not required, but at least things like Lorentz curve, that you must know. And Lorentz curve means does not mean कि ऐसी 2 line draw कर दिया. See, the professor there will look for your understanding superficially वहाँ पे. So you must know how to name that Lorentz curve. Let me draw it here somewhere, so that I will take this thing, so that you can relate Lorentz curve and inequality, and you can draw a graph like this. How do you define Lorentz curve? Let's say this is the line of equality. Okay, the naming is very, very important. This is the line of equality, and this is your, okay, I'm not getting it correctly. Let's say I'm not drawn it properly, but this is your Lorentz curve. Okay. Now let me call this area A, the area below curve B. This is the proportion of cumulative. You should call it cumulative. Okay, cumulative. Cumulative proportion of population. Okay, population. Let's say this is 0%. This is 50%. This is 100%. Okay. And this Lorentz curve, how you will get? It will depend upon the economy. Generally, in economics, you define it by Lorentz function. Let's say Lorentz function is xq. So do not worry about, need not to write all these things there, but just for your idea that this function might be xq s square depending upon the economy of a country. Correct? and this is the cumulative accumulation of resources. This vertical axis is cumulative accumulation of resources, right? See why I'm writing. If you just do this naming, that cumulative proportion, the professor will understand, okay, and this will fetch you one extra mark whenever you write a question on, let's say, inequality, poverty, if you make it, and with practice, how much time it will take. Then parallelly, you can write Gini coefficient index as well. Gini coefficient is nothing but the A upon A plus B, where A is the area above Lorentz curve, right? This area, and B is this. And let's say, but there is one more formula of this. It is given by 2 of 0 to 1 x minus Lx. Lx is the Lorentz curve. Okay. Lorentz curve dx. Okay. If you are a student of economics or maths, maybe you can take some liberty or write like this. But I think it is not required. That will help you. Okay. This will help you. Okay. This is sufficient to whatever. Right. So this is sufficient, and try to put it in your mains notes, and you will see that. So let's go back to the paper of Professor what? Right. So what he's saying, then the Lorentz curve will stay unchanged, and the change in poverty is due to entirely to the change in the mean income. Right. The mean income is changing, not due to the change in the okay. Then second point, when the mean income neither grows nor contracts, a change in poverty will occur if only Lorentz curve shift. That is, when the Lorentz curve shifts, that means there is a redistribution effect. So what we said, either there can be change in head count ratio, that is poverty, can be only through two factors, through growth or through redistribution. And if your growth, income growth is distribution neutral, then it is happening mainly from the change in the mean income. Otherwise, due to the redistribution effect, in India, not only in India, worldwide, you can make this statement. I do not say that, this is a watertight statement, but yes, if you observe last 70, 80 years history, poverty history, redistribution effects are very limited in reducing the poverty, whether absolute or relative. It has mainly come through growth, right? See, growth and inequality are having conflict. Okay, see, in developed countries, because they have already attained that level. Okay, so it does not mean that that inequality does not matter in India. No. That you should not read that. In fact, in SDG documents, SDG goals, you see, inequality has been mentioned twice: gender equality, SDG 5, and SDG 10, reducing inequality. Inequality is very, very important. But given the India's development trajectory, growth is more important. Fine. So I'm very hopeful that you will try to mention this thing in your mains answer somewhere. Try to capture this idea in 30 words, and you will see it. This is we will leave it now. Okay. Now we will go back to this chapter. Right. So this is the idea that they are trying to convey. Now, it is my suggestion that you should read economic survey very carefully. Now, they are talking about, let's say, work of the Professor Wilkinson, Professor Piketty. Piketty, you must, I'm not sure whether you read that book, Capital in the 21st Century. Wonderful book. Okay, wonderful book. I think it was not only popular, but very rigorous book. But again, if I can say, from France, there is another economist. He has done wonderful work on corporate finance and public economics as well. His name is Professor Jean Troll. Jean Troll, in fact, if I can make this remark, the works of Professor Jean Troll are more rigorous than the works of Professor Piketty. So maybe not now, but somewhere in future you will try to involve your time in his works. So let's see what they say. Here, this economic survey has given some charts. They are trying to compare. What they are trying to compare? Correlation of inequality and growth with health outcomes. Okay, if you will understand it when you will read this line better. Just a minute. Okay. See this. In advanced economies, show that higher inequality leads to adverse socio-economic outcomes. See, that's a problem. Let's say we will see drug abuse rise in developed countries whenever there is increase in equality. In India, what is happening? Drug abuse is rising whenever there is I think there is no correlation. Maybe we will see. But whenever there is increase in income, there is a increase in drug abuse as well. So for developed countries, inequality is very, very much important. Okay. Now what they are saying, the figure 1 to 7 display simultaneously a correlation of socio-economic outcome. Socio-economic outcomes, health, education, all those things, infant mortality rate. Okay. Then for growth and equality, they are trying to compare, right? So these figures demonstrate clearly across a range of socio-economic outcomes the stark contrast, important, very, very important, the stark contrast between India and the advanced economies in the correlation of socio-economic output with inequality and income per capita, right? For, inequality matters more for developed countries. For India, growth matters more, income per capita matters more. Across the Indian state, it is observed that both inequality and income per capita correlates similarly with socio-economic outcomes. In this figure, inequality across Indian state is measured as the Gini coefficient of. Okay, now this story also you must know. Again, it is going to digression, but let's say many economists challenge this notion. You are measuring inequality on the basis of Gini coefficient of consumption. Gini coefficient you have understood, right? Let's say there is a very rich person or very poor person. How much difference is between their consumption? Let's say a person has to eat food, right? So maybe he is eating 500 rupees thali, this person is eating only 70, 80 rupees thali. But this is not the, consumption cannot measure the difference in equality. What will measure is difference in, in income. Sorry, difference in wealth. See, difference in wealth is much, much higher than the difference in income, and the difference in income is much, much higher than the difference in consumption. But in India, Gini coefficient is not only this year. If you trace the history, last 30, 40, 50 years, they are measuring inequality on the basis of consumption. Here, although, somebody might also claim there is no problem with, measuring inequality with consumption. And this economic session, this chapter of the economic survey is also trying to say the same thing. Because some professor has said that when you measure a Gini coefficient of, inequality with the consumption, that gives you better result. So again, they have done, years of research. So I cannot say exactly what is good, but my personal view is that difference in inequality based on income and wealth is also important. Fine. So let's see. Okay, let's see this one. While the conflict between growth and equality is clearly seen across the, okay, now see this line. While the conflict between the growth and inequality is clearly seen across the advanced economy, inequality and growth converge in their effect among Indian states. That is the essence of this chapter. What is happening? Inequality and growth has conflict in advanced countries, but in India it is converging. So now you understand the title, right? So let's see some graphs. Now they are talking about in this there are top graphs are for India, right? And the left one is for inequality, Gini coefficient. Right one is, this is kind of a inequality. This is kind of a growth. And the top panel is for India, and the bottom panel is for advanced economy. Again, inequality and growth. Now you have this understanding. See, now economic surveys use regression analysis. And let's say you are a student of humanities or you have never studied regression analysis, no problem. But you can understand the essence. What is the essence of regression analysis? And let me tell you what it is. It says let's say there is a y is equal to beta naught plus beta 1 x, right? This is called dependent variable. Dependent variable comes simple meaning, this is the outcome. This is your intercept. Intercept, I will explain you. This is called slope. Slope, you understand? If you, let's say this is slope. If I move, let's say this equation, that line. If I move 2 meters horizontally, how much I move vertically? That is called slope. Fine. So you understood that part. So this is the notation you find, and generally you also put error part, but let us forget error. So let's say I'm looking here. Let's say somebody's selection chances in UPSC. That will depend upon what? X might be your level of hard work in GS, GS2, GS3 paper, right? So this is kind of so suppose you know the number of hours you put in hard work. So you will put that number here. You know slope, right? And see, these two technically are called parameters. And how do you calculate them? You calculate through the previous year's data. And their techniques, we cannot go there. We cannot discuss all those things. But yes, that is simply statistics. Okay, there is no rocket science there. And this thing you must know. And this regression analysis is based on some assumptions. And those assumptions are very, very debatable, right? So let's say, as maybe in future as an economist or administrator, you are reading such reports. So you will remind yourself, even though you are not an economist, or that whenever I see a regression line or this kind of correlation, I have to be cautious. I have to be cautious that I have to remind myself that there is assumption might not be, well established. And whether this model captured all the variables. All the variables means, let's say, dependent variable is your selection chances. So let's say you added one variable, marks in GS1. You added another variable, marks in GS2, like that, right? So it might happen you have not added all the variables which are influencing your outcome. So there are many, many problems in this. But yes, see, one more thing you have to understand. This, academicians and scientists have been making this science rigorous for the last almost 150 years. So I do not say it is truth, but yes, it is coming closer to truth. So keep this thing in mind. So these graphs have some importance, but they are not true. Let's see this one. What is happening here? So this is your Gini coefficient, and how you got it from measure of consumption. And high Gini coefficient is not good for. Let's say Gini coefficient is 1. So how would be a Lorentz curve graph? Your Lorentz curve graph would be like, exactly right? If it is very, very low, so your Lorentz curve will be, indirectly you try to reduce the area of A, right? So here inequality is high, and this is your just a minute. Okay, inequality is high, health index way. Okay, so now you are comparing health. So see what is happening in India. As the inequality is rising, health is also getting better. Can you see? So what does data indicate? So health is improving. This is better. So inequality is rising. So you will say no problem. Let the inequality rise. Let somebody own 10 houses, but bottom for 35-40% population, they should have basic necessities. Okay, so that is one thing. Now let's see, this came from the inequality. This from the, let's say if you increase, this is national state domestic product. Okay, and you are increasing it, and you say, okay, here also when I increase it, this is fine. So if the inequality is rising or growth is rising, in both cases, my health is better. You will tell yourself this for the states in India. Now let us see the advanced economies. What is happening there? And advanced economies like Japan, Switzerland, Great Britain. Here, whenever inequality is rising, same data, right? Although here you have this income inequality. See, here they have taken income inequality. You have to be cautious. See, why developed countries are taking income equality, not consumption equality? These are such are the point you can argue even to the right of this economic survey. Why you have taken income equality here? What is the problem? Why you are not taking income equality there? So you cannot say that in India income data is not there. No, that will not hold the water. So let's see what is happening. Problem. Can you see? As your income equality is rising, your health is index of health and social problem. It is problem here. Fine, because this is better. So inequality is rising. So for advanced economies, inequality is a problem. Here, let's say their income is rising. So health is index of health is also better. Fine. So this is the essence. This is the way they have measured. They have talked about many. Here they are talking about education, right? They are talking about the education index. See what is happening in India? Same. Inequality is rising. Education is better. Growth is there. So that is better. So what is happening? Both the see what it means when I say inequality is rising. This means the redistribution effect is not happening at full speed. Then also our economists will say that is not a problem. At least let the growth happen. Let the per capita income increase. If that is happening, no problem. Inequality thing we will see later. At present we have to focus on increasing the size of the pie. Fine. Now let's see what is happening for the advanced economies. Problem here. Can you see? Advanced economy is the maths and literacy score. Here and again income equality, you see it is decreasing whenever the inequality rises. For them, relative poverty is more important. You can see, right? See, sometimes also when you read all these graphs, try to ask yourself, okay, in India, where they take data. So then you will see, okay, there is something called school education quality index. See why it is important. Tomorrow, if you join services, you have to live with this data, right? Let's say if you're lucky enough, you get a posting in some research department or maybe Niti Aayog. Those are wonderful jobs, right? That you get after some years of services. If you get those kind of jobs, some policy making, then you have no option but to, live with this such. Now let's see this one. Life expectancy, same thing, right? Inequality is rising and it is increasing. Here, down. Right. See, sometime, although I think you must know, when you say life expectancy, try to read what it really means. So, life expectancy would indicate the number of years a newborn infant would live if prevailing patterns of mortality at the. See, wonderful, This is the way, when you say life expectancy in India, this is the meaning. Life expectancy at birth, the number of years a newborn infant will live. If you assume the patterns of at the time will stay throughout his life. That is the assumption. So this is the way you define life expectancy. Now, what in the infant mortality, when you see the slope is very high, so what is happening? The effect of inequality and growth, both are, growth. See, when you bring in growth, your infant mortality is reducing drastically, and this you can see. See, there is a scheme, right? I've forgotten. I think it's a part of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, scheme as well. Where if you go for the institutional delivery, some particular 5,000-6,000 is given to the person, right, to the mother. So those are some financial, I will say, some encouragements, right? So those are helpful here. Now see what is happening in advancing income. Can you see? Inequality so much matter. Inequality is rising, your infant mortality rate is rising. Even see country like USA, New Zealand, Australia. Fine. Okay. Now coming to the crimes. Okay, let's see. Crime, you see, inequality is rising. See, this is even in India, inequality is rising, murder rate is rising, decreasing. Although the slope is higher in that case. Advanced economies. Okay. See, inequality. What is the situation? Big problem. Okay, you must tell yourself that National Crime Record Bureau that captures data on murders and other heinous activities. Drug uses. Okay, drug uses I was talking about. See what is happening with the drug uses. If the inequality is rising, then okay, then it is reducing. It is funny. See, this data is funny. What it is saying, if you increase the income, your drug usage will rise. Okay, so I think I'm not pretty sure, but maybe this captures the essence. See, in India, India's tobacco problem is not cigarette. India's problem is bidi, right? If you see the data carefully, the OECD related, pulmonary related deaths, that is not mainly due to cigarette. That is mainly due to bidi, right? You must observe so many farmers, so many laborers, they're consuming that. So I believe, whenever you move from bidi to some other products, that might be captured in this data, but I'm not sure. I'm just trying to visualize what might be the reason. Maybe I have to look at the data, but yes, this could. See what is happening here? Inequality rising. Oh my God! Can you see? That is almost constant. So this is the one thing. Mental health. Mental health is improving even with inequality. Okay. Here, with any mental illness, see here they're talking about mental health. Okay. So this means this is positive thing. Here it is a negative thing with any mental illness. So whenever inequality is rising, so your mental illness is also rising. See, this is funny. Your income is rising, then also this is there is a thing called perils of riches. Perils of riches, right? You must know this phrase. Just a minute. Perils of riches or progress. Okay. Perils of progress. That is what is happening here. Fine. So I hope. Now, given this background, birth rate in India, fantastic. This see how drastically if you increase income. See, if you show this graph, right? You understand this graph. So many, how to say it. Let's say in society they have problem, right? Somebody says this particular religion has, or some particular caste, so many giving population is rising. You say it clearly. Let's see when there is growth, when the people are developed, well educated, the birth rate will automatically decrease. Okay, so statistics will speak, speak the truth, right? So I believe total fertility rate it is also decreasing everything. Okay. Now the question is, are the patterns similar across different types and different time periods? So now they have been measuring for different time periods. In India, more or less, you can say, yes, I think they have also mentioned this point. At least for the last 3 decades, growth is the main determinant factor. And second thing, what is happening recently, now the phenomena of rural poor is decreasing. The phenomena of urban poor is rising, although more number of people are poor, still poor in rural areas in India. Now one-third poor people live in urban areas. Okay, the urban poverty is the new phenomena, and if you ask what is the main thing which is reducing poverty in India, that is the migration, urban migration. Right? The people are migrating to urban areas, and mainly within urban area, what they are finding, from farm jobs, they are getting jobs in the construction, right? Construction. Otherwise, there is no other factor to reduce poverty in India. See, this is the essence. If you ask yourself how the poverty is reducing, you will tell yourself the first thing is the people who are migrating from the farm jobs to non-farm jobs and mainly involved in construction. That's why infra becomes important. Infra becoming important, capex become important. So now you can relate. UPSC mains question was there that in India growth has been mainly related to increase in labor productivity, and it was in civil services main 2022 GS3. So they asked what measures you would suggest both for increasing growth without compromising labor productivity. So the main answer is infrastructure development, both physical and social as well as digital infrastructure, right? So let's see this wonderful remark. Now, okay, the point I was talking about, why your consumption inequality is fine. Is a wonderful Professor Cochrane, well-known economist. What he says, inequality of income does not reflect the true inequality that individual and household as consumer encounter. So now I see. Now he's saying, okay, if you use if you measure inequality by the consumption, that is fine, because he's saying the inequality of income, that inequality of income does not capture it. Inequality of consumption, he says, is fine, right? So second, in the context of inequality, the divergence in asset among rich and poor do not necessarily correlate strongly with the divergence in consumption. So he has years of research. So on that basis, you can say, okay, it is fine when you measure inequality through consumption. But again, consumption does not capture the essence. You can, for data purpose, you can use inequality through consumption. But okay, now let me show you one more thing. This is fine, I believe. See, I could have taken a PPT and made, that I believe is superficial work. If you can, get the essence of this chapter and, share with the aspirant, that I think is a very high skill compared to just writing a PPT and, So here they talk about how the China, reduce. See, Chinese experience is similar to Indian experience. In fact, you must say other way around. What happened in China, more or less India is facing, same thing. You can say China and India differ almost by 10 years. Okay, China is almost 10 years ahead of India, and at least in SGI measures. So here also what happened, mainly through growth, consumption-led growth. In China, what happened? Consumption-led growth was there, right? So there was also export-led growth, but consumption-led growth was a big factor in reducing. Okay. Let me see if I can read a good line for you. Okay, the same World Bank research also argued the benefits of China's sustained economic growth have really trickled down. The trickling down effect is very important. Escalating industrialization and urbanization in the country, over 1 billion people are transformed from a surplus. See, in China also what? Agriculture surplus labor into urban employment. Same thing is happening in India. Surplus labor is there, right? You see, how could it be possible that almost 45% population depending upon agriculture, which gives only 17% of GDP? That is surplus labor, disguised labor. Marginal productivity of labor is zero. So that is what same thing. Now, so what they say, from the changes in the country's employment pattern engendered by the dual process of industrialization and urbanization. Okay, so this is what happened. Now this is kind of a philosophical part. Now they are asking, is perfect equality optimal? Let's say you bring perfect equality, right? Everybody is equal. So there is argument. Let's say everybody work hard. Okay, they put their effort, and after all that, you say, let's say there is an examination. Every aspirant is preparing. They prepared for 2-3 years. Then at the end of the day, UPSC declares result. Everybody got equal marks. And don't be happy. They will not say everybody got selected. They will say we will do the random now, random experiment. We will run the Excel and get the first. So how you or anyone who has worked hard is going to feel? I think those who have not worked hard, they will feel motivated. Okay, let us do this experiment. Let me try my luck. But those who have really worked hard, they will say no, this is not fine. Let me work. So that is the sense, right? Okay, note that perfect equalization of outcome ex post, after the efforts have been exerted to obtain those outcomes, can reduce individuals' incentive for work, innovation, and wealth creation, right? A benevolent social planner seeks to maximize aggregate welfare. So now, if you remember, just 2 lectures back, we talked about Pareto optimality, John Rawls' original position. The same thing they have mentioned it. Okay, what was the John Rawls' original position? John Rawls said, John Rawls was a famous, I should not use the word famous, very rigorous political philosopher. He wrote a wonderful, many books, but a very popular book is The Theory of Justice. How it runs, it's a wonderful book. I hope someday you will read it. But I can tell you the essence. He talks about a very important idea, original position. And he's trying to I do not say negate Jeremy Bentham and utilitarianism, but yes, he is trying to find flaw or some in their understanding. What he said, he gave the idea of original position. What he said, let us imagine that we do not know where you and me are going to born. Then what kind of social system you will expect? So let's say, suppose I am born in, let's say Boston, some millionaire's house, right? Maybe trillionaires, now people are becoming trillionaires, right? So I would be very, very happy. But what happened if I'm born, let's say, in the sub-Saharan region or maybe KVK area of Odisha? I will say, no, right? Let us, I do not know what will happen. So let us make systems so that even if I'm the last person means unluckiest person in that random experiment, so I should be happy at least. So that is why he said we should have, original position. We should devise that kind of system, and this system would be based on logic rather than feeling of heroism or emotional. No. He said this thing one is, and second thing he emphasized on the liberty of the individuals. He placed big emphasis on liberty. So and his concept is also compared with maximum. Maximum, let's say maximum, there is a function. Let's say there are 3 states, A, B, C. The values are 2, 3, 4, 2, 7, 8. I will call it 12, 11, 15, 6. So in the state A, what is the minimum value? 2. State B minimum value is 7. State C minimum value is 6. So what you are doing? Maximum. So first you took the minimum of all this. So here 2, here 7, here 6. And now you will take the maximum of that. That is 7. So this means you will prefer state B. So, and if you are a student mathematics or maybe economics, statistics, you will know it. This very simple concept. Even class 12 you must have read it. So this is just a way of choosing. You could have also chosen max, or maybe average or Hurwitz criteria. They're different criteria. So when you try to compare what John Rawls is trying to suggest, he's trying to suggest maximum. But some professors did some experiment. They said people do not believe in maximum. What people believe in, what he said, people believe in self-interest. And how that, it is very funny. See, self-interest is so deeply ingrained in human nature. So deeply ingrained in human nature that even philosophers are not able to, share a method, through which resources should be shared. So, what is the story here? I believe you understood John Rawls' concept. Okay. Let me show you. Okay. Right. So this is the thing. What happened? The professor. This study was conducted by Norton and LA. They conducted and picturing the wealth distribution in a hypothetical country. So what they said, most participants choose the second option as a nation they prefer to experience some inequality. They prefer some inequality. Why? Means no one prefer. See, why they prefer some inequality? Because they say if we put some personal efforts, we should get more rewards. That is why people prefer some inequality. Fine. Now, let's say, okay, even somebody asks, okay, how much CEOs should get compared to average worker. They said 7:1 is fine. Okay. Then now, see here they have talked about one more experiment. I think you must read it. Here what they are saying. See here again they are saying that human self-interest, that is a big problem. What he says, okay, inequality in reality is far worse than what people desire. Yet, why does it persist in democratic polity? In democratic polity, inequality is there. Fine. What? So about this, this game, 5 people. Here you must come. They said, this leads us to believe that information could be the key to the issue of redistribution and inequality. The people know that, okay, I am, let's say I'm not aware. Okay, let's say I am not aware whether I'm poor or rich relative to this world or maybe this country or this city. If I'm not aware, then I'm living not happily, but satisfactorily. But somebody tells me with data or and it is truth that no, you are poor. So you will say, okay, now we should change the system. We should bring more wealth to poor. And let's say if I come to know I'm relatively richer, maybe 99% population of the city, then I will say, okay, no, do not distribute the resources. Whatever I have, I would like to keep to myself, or maybe somebody gives me more, I would be more happy, right? So this is the essence. That's this is self-serving. The humans, that information is also self-serving. So that is why this self-interest is so deeply ingrained in human. Okay. Now there is somewhere you can mention it. Let's say yes. This was the experiment. Professor Feldstein. Okay. Now I'm not sure yet. This is. See, Professor Feldstein is one of those economists who says our focus of academicians and media press should not be more on relative poverty elimination. No, he said first, tackle the absolute poverty. Even the Professor Jeffrey Sachs, many of you must have read the book Poor Economies by Professor Vijit Banerjee. Wonderful book. If you want to start knowing poverty, start with that book, or maybe Professor Angus Deaton's, many books, right? That is my view. In India, you find Professor Jane Dreze and Professor Amartya Sen book, wonderful. Pick up anyone, right? So just so what he said, he disagreed with the common nation that not poverty as the problem. He said poverty is the problem. Why he said let us imagine we denote $1,000 to some subscriber of a magazine. Okay. Now what is happening? Now what will happen? Subscriber will have greater average income, right? And it will lead to greater inequality. That's fine, no? Because let's say they are the sixth person in this world, and two of them were the subscriber of this. So what is happening now that you have increasing these two subscriber income by $1,000. So the inequality is rising. Let's say earlier these other people were having $2,000, okay, $2,000, and they were also having $2,000. Everyone was having $2,000. Now you added $1,000 more in their account. So as a world, everyone is fine. Because see, their wealth is not reducing, their wealth is still 2,000, but they got more wealth. Now they got $3,000, but this has increased the inequality, right? Flinders did find inaccurate to contemplate that it is morally suspect. He said, no, that's not a problem. First, focus on the absolute poverty. Let them get $1,000. That's not a problem. Tackling absolute poverty is very, very important. So now you can, if you remember well, I think I've discussed this idea earlier as well. Professor Angus Deaton, he worked on Indian poverty a lot. He got a Nobel Prize for that. And when you measure poverty, there are two systems in India: national accounting system and on household consumption surveys, right? So what is happening across all the countries? What happens? There is a divergence between these two figures, the results. So what the national accounting service results say that the inequality, your poverty is reducing. Okay, household surveys, what they say is, no, poverty is not reducing, but growth is happening. So what it will indirectly determine that growth is happening where the poverty is not reducing. This means inequality is rising. So which data to believe, whether national accounting system or household survey? So that's why Professor Angus Deaton made a remark. In fact, he has put this thought in your novel lecture as well. What he said, poverty. Poverty is now a problem of measurement. You have to measure it, and the associated idea for the Professor Jeffrey said, okay, why to involve yourself in measuring all those things? What was his idea? He said, I think 1 or 2% of the developed country has to transfer 1 or 2% of their wealth for another 30 years, and the absolute poverty would be eradicated from the face of this earth. So there are some economists who do not want to go into measuring all those things. So somebody might say, okay, why to measure all these things? See, why you have to measure it? So that put the resources at the right place. Because they are limited resources. See, somebody says, developed countries are going to do donation or maybe aid. That is a fanciful world. What happened in UNFCCC? $100 billion. What happened? If you're reading that economic survey 2023, the transfer of wealth from the developed to developing countries, even through the under the COP 26, it has come down, right? So nobody is going to do charity. So whatever resources are there, you have to put at the right place. That is why measurement becomes important. Professor Jeffrey Sachs' idea is wonderful, but again, the main question is why the developed country is going to transfer their 2% GDP for the 30 years to reduce the poverty in some other country. I think that is very, very difficult to achieve. Okay, given this thing, so what they are here also, okay, please read, Rawls' original position here. Now, as long as the poor have adequate income, an increase in the income of the rich need not benefit the poor to be considered just. The result of such experiments suggests absolute poverty should be of greater concern than inequality. Fine. So I believe we have invested sufficient time on this lecture. Okay, I do not want to go into this data. This is again regression. But you must try to understand the graphs. That is, let's say here is a technical point. Here, why have they taken the ln? If you see many data related to poverty, you always take ln of that particular variable on the vertical axis. There is idea. I cannot go into all that here, but you must ask yourself such things. Okay, why they always take ln of that particular variable? Fine. Maybe once you join the services, you will also understand the meaning of R square. And R square is nothing but let's say there is some error, and this regression line is explaining some part. So R square indicate the explained part upon total error. So if the R square is good, high, it is a wonderful thing, but not always. Remember, there is also, so generally you say R square is good, so it's a wonderful thing. That means that your data is explaining many causes. Fine. So this is what I have to say. Please read this topic with care and attention. This UPSC is going to ask in 2023 or 24. If you have any question, please ask on comment. Thank you very much.